Hello, and welcome to this episode of Round Robin. I'm Robin McCormick, Communications and Marketing Director for the City of Hampton, and my guest is Mary Bunting, the City Manager. And today we're going to talk about the city budget and the difficulties we're facing this year, and about how you can get involved and participate in some of the tough decisions that the city will be making. Welcome, Mary. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. And one thing I wanted to point out that we haven't mentioned before is all the photos behind me are from Hampton. They're at Buckrow Beach. And the guys made this set for us to really reflect what is Hampton.
And it really shows off what a beautiful city we have.
We do. So let's talk today. I've been with the city now for a year, and when I started, it was 1 year ago, and it was, I believe, budget week. And I didn't really understand what budget week means in the city of Hampton. Can you explain to me a little bit about how that came about and what it means to really immerse citizens in the budget process?
Sure. Well, for many years, really even going back 10, 15 years, we have tried to engage citizens around the budget choices that we need to make each year. However, in the past, I'd say prior to about 3 years ago, we really didn't have a lot of turnout from citizens in the budget work sessions that we would have. And so we really wanted to try to revamp that and make it more appealing to citizens and give them a way that they really felt they could come in, express themselves, maybe see what other residents were thinking, and do it in a way that was fun and really engaging with them, as opposed to maybe what had been a little bit more on the boring side in the past.
Where people would just speak up or ask questions.
Right, and we really wanted to market it in a way that people knew this is the time to come out. And so we made Budget Week as a way of saying, here's a whole set of opportunities for you to come out. Some of them are ones where we rotate around the city in different days and different times and different locations, and you can come to us. And others of the opportunities are ones where we go to them, to their civic meetings or their athletic associations or what have you, so we can talk about the budget with them in whatever way they feel most comfortable. But the idea of Budget Week, and I think this year we're going to Budget Weeks, we really are trying to give people, this is the time to focus, this is the time where we really need your input, so that we can get that early on before my manager's recommended budget comes out.
Now, why is that important? Why do you want to hear from citizens? The way cities traditionally do budgets, I think, is that the city manager presents a budget, and then it's public hearings in city council, and that's a lot of times where the citizen input comes in. Why do you choose to do it so differently?
Well, we choose to do it differently for a variety of reasons, but the most important one is we really feel that a budget document should be a reflection of the community's priorities. And we certainly hear about the community's priorities all year long in a variety of ways, because we do a lot of citizen engagement. But when we're making those choices about the finite dollars that we have, particularly in an era of declining resources because of the national economy, those choices become even more important. And so we wanted to give residents a chance to say, if I have to let go of something, reduce something, eliminate something, what is it that I'm prepared to do? City budget's really not unlike a household budget when you get down to it. It's a balancing of needs and wants and what we have in the way of resources, and how do we make that work in a way that we protect what's important to the community and do it in a responsible fiscal manner at the same time. So we wanted to give citizens a chance to really weigh in on some of those tough choices.
And this is called, or has been called for the past 3 years, I Value, because you started really with this idea that you wanted citizens to say, this is what I value the most. This is what the service I need, or the kind of treatment that I expect when I deal with the city.
Absolutely, and we wanted to know, I really do think that everything that's in the budget, quite frankly, is important to some groups of people in the community.
Right.
It wouldn't be in the budget in the first place if it weren't. So we knew that whatever we would cut or scale back would upset some group of people. What we really wanted to hear from was the larger community, and to make sure that when we were making those tough choices, it reflected what the larger community valued, what they felt was most important to protect. Because if we had enough dollars, everything that was in that budget would be protected.
And we would be talking about what new service we could add.
Correct.
In some previous years, maybe.
Right. But given the tough choice that needed to be made, we wanted to make sure we didn't hear from one constituency constituent group exclusively. We wanted to try to get that broader net, if you will, and really reflect what people valued and wanted to be protected.
I think it's hard for people to come out to these meetings or to participate in this process. I mean, when I go to city council meetings, you have maybe a dozen people who come, and it's a little bit tough to march to the front of that room and stand in front of a microphone. But in these settings, the public input settings, it's a different sort of process. Can you walk us through how that would work?
Sure, and this is one of the things we added to Budget Week that I think got people excited and energized and really coming out. For the in-person events where you come to us, and we offer 4 of those over 4 different days, some are evenings, some are weekends, we use what's I call a push-button technology. It's basically an immediate polling device that we give folks when they come in the room, and we ask them a series of questions, and they respond on their polling device, and the results for the group of people in the room immediately show up on the screen. So you can see that your vote has been registered, and you can also see how the other people in the room have polled and expressed their opinion as well. So it's both an opportunity to give us that feedback, but also to see what fellow residents are thinking and feeling about the very same issues. And I think a lot of people really enjoyed that. It was a much more interactive kind of device. It wasn't, I have to stand in front of the room and give my speech and have everybody watching me. I could give my opinion, but I could see what everybody else was thinking. And for those who were maybe a little bit more shy and didn't want to stand up in front of a group of people, they still could give an equal amount of input and weight to what they were saying.
Right, that's what I noticed last year, is it really did help for people who are not public speakers or who are a little more shy. They have this opportunity to come into the room and not actually say anything, but still give their opinion on 40 different issues or topics, which is, I think, unique, really.
Oh, and I love it. I love seeing those aha moments in the group of people. Oh, other people feel the same way I do, or oh, other people don't feel the same way that I do. Because we tend to hang out with people who think a lot like us, and so we assume everybody thinks like us, and they really don't. Our community is a very diverse community made up of a lot of wonderful groups of people, and there are different feelings about issues, and it's a really good way for us to get a sense of what other people are thinking and learn what our neighbors are thinking and feeling as well. It gives us a much better perspective, I feel, about what makes our community so special.
Right, so there will be different ways that you'll be gathering input, and the main one we're talking about is the large public meetings, open to the public, everyone can come, and we hope you will. One of the things about those is that in addition to the polling, there's more give and take. Someone asks a question, and then everyone in the room benefits by hearing the answer.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit of a looser process.
Absolutely, and I like that element too. We do try to make sure we capture the data that we need to roll into our budget thought process, but we also have a give and take, interactive question answer. A lot of times we're able to explain things better for folks, and the budget itself is huge and it seems intimidating, but as I said earlier, it's really not unlike a household budget. So we get to talk at that level and help people understand what are the choices and some of the challenges that we're facing, and they get to give us wonderful suggestions as part of that process. So we really do like it when folks come out, but if they can't, we have other opportunities as well.
That's right, and I noticed, well, the first year that you did the polling, you asked people, essentially, and that's where it started, was with the value piece. What do you value the most? And the way you did that was, is this a want or a need? Is that right?
Yes, yes. And
then you sort of ranked the city services based on those results.
Exactly.
And then the second year, what did you ask people?
We asked people, we showed them what they said the year before, and we wanted to build on that. And so we asked them, given this level of funding, and we showed them what the level of funding was for each of those city services. Do you think that's about right? Or do you think it should be reduced, eliminated, or even increased, understanding that in a difficult budget year, if you were increasing something, you had to cut other things even more. So we gave them the chance to sort of weigh in on the level of funding that we were spending for each of those in the community.
But those were in very, very broad categories. I mean, I believe it was parks and recreation facilities or street maintenance, and they weren't specific programs, it was within the city's budget categories.
Right. I mean, if we literally did every activity that we perform, we would have to keep people all day long. And we certainly don't want to do that. We try to design these sessions to be no more than 2 hours so that we can be respectful of people's time and still get the data that we want. So we did ask at broad service levels. So for instance, police, we didn't ask about everything the police do. We asked about, how they felt about uniform patrol, how they felt about 911 services. Those broad categories that the average citizen is thinking about as they look at our city.
But then this year, you're going to drill down a little bit more and ask some specific questions. How is that going to work? And I know the survey isn't done yet, but it will be by the time this show airs, I hope.
Yeah. Well, again, we want to build, we don't want to ask people the same questions every year. We want to build on what we're learning about how our community sees, our service delivery and our budget. So this year we're going to go to a more finite level, and we're going to ask them about specific cuts that we are entertaining, quite frankly, as we deal with the declining revenues that we continue to face because of the recession. We have lower real estate values because of the housing market declines across the country. We also have lower state revenues, and we do have, like homeowners, expense pressures that we have to deal with. For instance, just as the gas prices impact the homeowner, they impact us too, with all the police cars, fire trucks, ambulances we have on the road every day. So we do have expenses rising and revenues down, and that forces us to make some more of those tough choices. So we're going to share some of those tough choices that we're actually considering and ask people to tell us what their tolerance level is for each of those choices.
Okay, so it will be, for people who've come out to these meetings before, it will be different this year. There'll be different questions, different opportunities for input. And we're going to hold 4 of those meetings, and they will be spread out over a 2-week period just in case, because it also is during some schools and colleges' spring breaks. People might be out of town. This gives us a chance to hit more people, hopefully, who can show up. So there'll be 4 of those public meetings. In addition, you're adding something this year. You're going to do online chats on 3 Thursdays in which people can ask you questions, and again, not have to come out. They can do it from their office at lunchtime or from home and have a chance still to have an audience with the city manager and either ask a question or express what is important to them.
Right.
You're going to do round robin again and discuss more things in depth. And people who don't want to interact on that level can still do the survey, the polling online as well. That should be active early, probably February 28th or 29th at hampton.gov. And we have those dates of the public events that we're going to put up and the dates of the chats, so you all can write that down, and we'll continue to run them on slides on Channel 47 so that people know when and where these events are.
And if I could just add, we also will come to groups, civic meetings, service clubs, as I said earlier, athletic associations, any group that wants to have a in-person chat where we come to, we can't bring those polling devices with us. It's a very labor-intensive process, which is why we reserve them for the big group meetings. But we will come have a chat with you in your neighborhood, at your service club, what have you, if you'd like to do that. I do as many of those as possible, and when I'm double booked, I have my assistant city managers and budget director who are also available to visit. We record the comments that are given at those meetings, and we share all of them with the City Council.
And we also share all of it with the citizens online, so we'll post all of those online. Well, thank you for coming, Mary, and we hope to see many of you out in person or participating in the online polling as we go through these tough choices. Thank you.